Hello YouTube, what's up? My name is Erin. I'm a YouTuber. I create content from guitar videos to talking about transgender related topics. I'm known for being a moderate standpoint politically, so my videos can appeal to conservative or more liberal people. I'm geared more towards moderate to conservative though. My viewpoints are a little bit controversial to some. I'm sort of disliked by extremely left-wing people, but that's okay. I am who I am, and my opinions are mine. And I have viewers who do enjoy my videos. My goal is to enlighten and educate the world, especially us Americans, about LGBT, especially transgender-related topics from a non-woke narrative. I've been absent from YouTube in terms of transgender related topics for some time. I will apologize for that. I have been going through some serious health issues, private health issues that I wish to remain personal, keep them within my family and certain friends. But with that being said, I will continue making videos for everyone while I'm going through treatment for my condition. Oh, it's harder to get over that and tell everyone, but I'm doing well, as good as I can be. I have lost some weight, but don't be alarmed. I am trying my best to keep up and stay in good shape. Today's topic is going to be, how did I transition to a woman? Now, okay, I'm going to be upfront. You can't change your sex, so that's my viewpoint. I know that I didn't transition to a woman, but I live as a female in society, and society perceives me as a woman. So for all intents and purposes, this is how I transitioned to a woman. And one thing, I'm a Christian. I believe in God. God doesn't make mistakes. This is the way God made me. So please don't be quoting Bible verses in my comment section geared towards me. I read a daily devotional. If you want to quote verses in the comment section for other people, be my guest. But please don't gear them towards me. It gets a bit redundant. I appreciate it, but don't, be preaching on the corner of the street. The Bible says not to do that. Anyhow, I began my transition very young, but had some gaps in between different stages of my transition. So in 2001, I began a puberty inhibitor for a precocious puberty. So I'm an intersex person diagnosed with persistent Mullerian duct syndrome. So I began a precocious puberty. I started puberty very young. Went on a puberty inhibitor from 2001 until 2005. And then I lived as a teenage boy until I came out around the age of 11. Was on puberty inhibitors till I was about 15. From 15 to 20, I lived as a regular guy, more or less. I was allowed to live androgynously at home. I wore makeup, had long hair. I would occasionally cross-dress. I wore my girlfriend's clothes all the time. She had no problem with that. That was not alarming. Now, everyone perceived me as gay, but I was openly bisexual. Started taking androgen blockers, that was testosterone blockers, when I was in my very early 20s. And in 2012, I began HRT, hormone replacement therapy. I was 22 years old. So I went to a transgender support group. I was living in West Palm Beach, Florida. At the time, there's this little city in West Palm Beach called Lake Worth, and there was this LGBT community center called Compass. And every other Thursday night, they had a transgender support group. Back then, we were called transsexuals. It was called the Transsexual Support Group, and at the time, it was actually once every Thursday, once a month. Then it was bi-weekly, and then it became every week. But I started going there, and I found out of a gynecologist who helped trans people, trans men and trans women. Non-binary wasn't really a term back then. It helped trans people get HRT, and she was a wonderful doctor, Dr. Willihan. And my mom took me to Dr. Willihan, and she got me on estradiol valeriate. Actually, no, she got me on estradiol, the tablets, and I was on those for years. They were not nearly as effective as the injections that I would get on years later, but at the ripe age of 22 years old, I started estradiol, and I'd already been on spironolactone since I was 20. So to backpedal a little bit, my primary care physician actually started me on the spironolactone when I was 20, back in 2010. So from 2010 to 2012, I had already began blocking my testosterone and started to develop gynecomastia, which is male building of breast tissue. So I already had started to build breast buds when I started estradiol. And I stayed on the pill. I was on the pill for, I would say, my first year of being on the pill. I started to develop I already had breast buds, but I started to develop breasts. My areolas enlarged. Now, I'm stating all of this for scientific explanation. This is all for educational purposes. This is not sexual. This is truly just educational purposes only. I'm not here to promote anything NSFW, not describing anything sexual intentionally, just education. My areolas did grow in size within my first year of estradiol, and by year 2, my body fat had significantly redistributed. By year 2, I had begun laser hair removal. I have allergies. I began laser hair removal from year 1 to 2. Every 6 weeks, I went and got laser hair removal on my face and on my neck, because after I came off puberty inhibitors, I did begin growing facial hair. And even going on testosterone blockers in 2010, I did not, it doesn't stop. HRT does not stop what has already grown facial hair wise. So I had to get it lasered off. Thankfully, I had dark facial hair and didn't have to worry about electrolysis. So after about every 6 weeks, after about 9 or 10 sessions of laser, after about a year of going to laser every 6 weeks, I had no facial hair. And to this day, I still don't have any. It was a wonderful investment. Cost me several $1,000s. One of the best investments in my life. But about year 2 into it, I would say my breasts had grown to a B cup size. I had significantly more weight in my hip area and my thigh area. My muscles had shrank significantly. My face became a lot more rounded out. And then when I was about 2 years in, I went ahead and got Juvederm facial fillers. Now, I maintain these, and I'm going to suck my cheeks in so that you can see the area that they're at. Those are all Juvederm facial fillers. I still maintain my Juvederm. It's important to maintain them because over time they will start to fall, and it helps keep my face rounded. I remember when I first got them, I called my friend. She was a trans girl from Colombia, Angel. And I called her. I'm like, Angel, I'm going to be getting Juvederm in my lips. And she's like, no, girl, don't do that. Get it in your cheeks. It will round your face and make you more feminine. And she was like 10 years into her transition already and way beyond me. And I was honestly envious of her transition. She was so beautiful. And so I took her advice and told the ladies at it was the same beauty, I don't know what you call it, the place that I got, beauty spa, that I got my laser hair removal, did my Juvederm. And I spent about $3,000 or $4,000 on my Juvederm over a few year period, and maintaining it over the years has been expensive. Transitions aren't cheap, even though insurance covers hormones and even some surgeries. It is expensive. Transitioning is not cheap. But within 2 to 3 years, I would consider myself fully passable. In 2014, I got my first facial feminization procedure. I had a rhinoplasty, a feminization rhinoplasty. So that was my first facial feminization procedure. It was wonderful. And I had my forehead, my hairline reduction surgery. So those are the two feminization procedures that I did. Um, because of my health issues, I this past December had to cancel my second round of FFS. I was having a second rhinoplasty and a type 2 brow bone shave that unfortunately I'm going to have to put to the side until I get over what I'm going through at this time. But well, my insurance does cover these procedures. And to those of you that are considering getting FFS, look into insurances and look at the surgeons, find out what surgeons take which insurance. So next year when you go to look at insurances, find an insurance that covers FFS, because FFS is so expensive. Facial feminization is so expensive. I paid for my rhinoplasty out of pocket. I will say that that first procedure was pricey. Well, going into year 4 to 5, you kind of get used to living in your transition, taking my pills every day, living my life. It becomes your new norm. You kind of forget you're trans for the most part. So how I transitioned was going to my doctor and going and getting on the medication, transitioning, going to getting laser hair removal, so getting your facial hair removed. Now, if you have extra body hair like back chest or back hair or excessive leg or arm hair, you may consider getting laser hair removal on those areas as well. Though it's important, if you want to pass, it's important to get rid of anything that will make you present masculine or be presumed masculine. Passing is important in society. Because it's really, there's a stigma to being trans. So the more that you appear feminine if you're a trans woman, or the more male you appear if you're a trans man, the better you're going to get treated in society. And I learned that young. So how I transitioned to a woman was learning to blend into society. It's not about just taking medications. It's not about just getting hormones or surgeries. It's about living into society. Now, 5 to 10 years in, I switched to injections. Actually 12 years in, I switched to injections to be specific. I went from estradiol pills, 12 years on estradiol pills, I switched over to estradiol Valeri injections. Now I've been doing those for 2 or 3 years now, going on 3 years now. It was like starting HRT all over. I got more fat redistribution that I'd never imagined would occur so late into my transition. I got more fat redistribution. My face actually rounded out a little bit more. I never thought that I would reach that much medical improvement that late in my transition. That was really incredible. So blending in society, this is my next topic. One of the things that I did was I legally petitioned the courts to change my name and my legal sex on all of my documents, from my birth certificate, my social security card, my driver's license, and my passport. So how did I do that? Well, I had a psychiatrist and I had my gynecologist both write a letter of maximum medical improvement to the courts of Palm Beach County and to the letter. I was living in Palm Beach County in Florida, that I reached maximum medical improvement. This was for changing my gender marker. And then for changing my name, I petitioned the courts for a file of legal name change as an adult. It's a very arduous legal process and it took time, but don't be discouraged. You will be able to change your name. It takes time. Certain states, it's easier to change your passport first, then change your license. It all depends on the state which you live in. Some states are less trans-friendly than others. I'm very grateful in the fact that I transitioned a very long time ago. With that being said, I technically started in 2010. That was 15 years ago. So with that being said, as I mentioned, I'm not dealing with all of the loopholes and the issues that trans people who are just starting in the past 5 years are dealing with in the legal stuff that are going on with politics in the world these days. And another thing that I must notate in this video is I do have an intersex condition, and I will mention that my birth certificate I never had to amend. I was legally born a female. With that all mentioned, I will say that blending in society not only is about physically being female, it's about being female on paper. If you're a trans woman, you have to legally be everything. You have to physically be everything. You have to cover all your bases. And what's really important is you don't want to have an Adam's apple. It's important to grow breasts. It's important to have the body shape. It's important to have the voice to the best of your ability. I know that my voice is not 1,000,000% passable. I'm completely aware of that, and it's something that I can't change. I have done voice training to the best of my ability, and this is where I'm at. And I'm okay with that. There are some trans people like Finster who have a considerably deeper voice than mine, and there's nothing wrong with their voice. Finster has a deeper voice, and she's completely valid. I understand that everyone's voice is unique, and some people require surgery to change their voices. I have a partner, or had a partner, that was a trans woman that had an extremely deep voice. No matter how much training she did, no matter which vocal coach she went to, I don't know if it was about embarrassment or shyness or just incapability of vocal training. She was just unable to train her voice. And she became okay with being a gal with a deeper voice. So this is basically how I transitioned to a woman. It's not an easy process. It's not something that's going to happen in 2 years. It's not something you take your pills and in 2 years you're a woman. And to be honest, you're never going to be a woman. You're going to be what you were born as, but you can live as a woman. And that's one of the delusions that's caused issues in the United States, I would say, over the past 5 to 10 years, especially in the political environment that we live in. We've allowed everyone to identify as trans. And the issue we've had with that is if you let everybody be a trans person, the issue is that people use that as an excuse to do really bad things. And that's a real issue. If you go into my community posts on my channel and you look at some of the things people have done, I have mugshots or a clip of all of these different crimes people have committed going into women's spaces to do sexual things. It's terrible what people using the trans umbrella to use and commit crimes. It's heinous and gross. So I understand why the trans community is getting all of this flack. And honestly, the trans community should gatekeep who is trans and who isn't to an extent. I believe that I don't understand non-binary people. I don't get it. I don't think it's trans. If they want to exist, they can exist. In my opinion, they exist. They obviously do because they're there. I think they should put an N in the LGBT acronym. It's already really big, but they should put an N for it because that's not really trans in my opinion. And if we disagree, I would like to politely agree to disagree. And I would like to politely agree to disagree with a lot of my fans who don't see eye to eye with me politically, because honestly, at the end of the day, I'm just trying to get acceptance for our community from the general population. You realize that if you're a transgender viewer, we are less than 1% of the general population here in America. And with that being said, 99.3% of Americans aren't trans. And my channel I'm trying to help those people, that 99.3% of people, understand us 0.7% of people, get a grasp on why we do this, what gender dysphoria is, the incongruency between our brains and our bodies, and the fact that transitioning medically is all really science has to offer at this time. If if I was 11 years old and came out as trans, and I was born in 2050, and medicine had a pill that I could take and gender dysphoria would go away, and I would just be happy living as a boy, oh, I would take that. And, I will go into a much further explanation on why my birth certificate was marked female. I was born with a very, very, very rare SRY gene mutation that less than 300 people in medical literature have been documented with. It's extremely rare. My family was put in a situation where I was schlepped back and forth between Miller School of Medicine and Johns Hopkins as a child with the persistent Mullerian duct syndrome. It was not easy. And I do think that does have some bearing on why I transitioned. It wasn't just gender dysphoria. But gender dysphoria is the driving factor as to why I transitioned into a woman. I felt like I was born in the wrong body, as cliche as that sounds. Until next time, if you do have questions for me, I'm having some time off from work. I'm on what's considered FMLA, so I have a lot more free time to respond to comments over the next few months. So I'll try my best to respond if you have a question. Please comment, it helps my algorithm. I haven't made a trans-related video in over a month. So this is for you all. This is a special video. I was going to consider never making another trans video again. But seeing what's going on with the political environment and what's going on with trans people in America, I figured I'd make this video and continue making trans videos despite everything I'm going through in my personal life. I appreciate everyone who follows me and my OG subscribers and fans. Thank you so much for your support. I'm considering making a Patreon to help support me, but I'm not there yet. But that's in the working. Until next time, please consider giving me a thumbs up. And if you're not already subscribed, go ahead and subscribe. And if you want, ring that bell and you'll be notified every time I upload a new episode. Thank you again. Have a wonderful day.